Hi, if you can hear me, see me, please give me a thumbs up or like, or you may say hi in the comment box. Yeah, you may say hi in the comment box if you can see me and hear me well. Thank you very much for joining for this live session. And today's topic I chose because a lot of clients since yesterday have messaged me, emailed me after listening to the sad demise of Sushant Singh Rajput, that there's a point that every one of them, at least the people, those who messaged me and emailed me, they all said that there was a point in their life that definitely when they're in down and dumps and suffered and having troubled times, they all had this thought that oh, I wish if the life would end. And to be very honest with each one of you, I have been through the same thoughts many a times in my life. And I have come to a conclusion somewhere. I'm not sure about this, but maybe somewhere, someone, everybody, in life, when they are low and they're feeling something is not okay, it's too hard to fight back. I think a thought crosses definitely. Somewhere deep down, we all somewhere, feel that the pain and the hurt will end if the life ends. But we all bounce back. We all, that thought just passes away, and we move on, and we do get over with that, and figure out the ways to get out of the challenge. But some succumb to it, and with that, when so many people messaged me and emailed me about this, I thought, let me talk about this. Like, most people go through the life when, and there is a point in life when the life becomes blurry. So what do? Like, each one of us secretly desire to make it big in life. Now, everybody has a different definition of what is big for you, for me. And with that, we move on and we think about the future. We think that, okay, life is going to be this way. I want my life this way. When you're in school, when you're graduating from the college, and when you're looking at life, everybody has a dream to make it big in their life. So what happens then? What happens? Does a life come with a manual that this is going to be 1 + 1 is equal to going to be 2, or 1 + 1 is going to be 11, or 1 × 1 will remain 1? Life doesn't come with a manual. You have to create one manual, right? And some of us do create that manual. Some of us fail to understand. Some of us keep upgrading that manual. Life never says that there won't be challenges. The challenge is going to be the part of life. Have you been through any challenges? If you have been through challenges in life, you can resonate with me. And if you resonate with me, put in the comment box and tell me resonate. Type resonate and tell me if you can resonate that you have been through the life where there were challenges, and you reached a point where you felt that there's no way you can come out of this, but then you fought through it and you somehow got through it, and the possibilities opened up, and you emerged. Like you could feel the difference in your life now. If you can resonate with it, comment box, let me know in the comment box that you resonate with it. But today, while I was preparing for this live, and I was thinking, I was just gathering my thoughts, since yesterday I'm going through so many thoughts, and I thought that let me gather my thoughts and understand what exactly I applied, or what exactly I helped other people apply that helped them to bounce back in their life. And what I learned from some of the biggest coaches and mentors that I have been mentoring with. So the first thing I remember, and I love this quote, and if you're my student, you must have heard this quote all the time from me, that I always talk about Stanley's quote, where he speaks, the Spider-Man speaks, and he says that, in that there's this one dialogue or quote, you can say, says that, yes, you guessed it right, you guessed it right. And if you guessed it right, please put in the comment box, with the biggest power comes the biggest responsibility. With the big power comes the big responsibility. But I also choose to say it in a different way, and I say, with the big responsibility comes the big power. with the big responsibility comes a big power. I choose to believe in this. I choose to believe that with big responsibility comes the big power. And then with the big power comes the big responsibility. What is, if you understand what I mean, that what is responsibility? Responsibility, that your ability to respond to the situation, respond to the people, respond to the challenges that the life is throwing at you. And the bigger your ability is to respond better, the bigger the power that you harness. And obviously, then once you have a bigger power, you become even more responsible. That's how it goes. But if somewhere, someplace, you miss this ability to respond to life, whether you are on high or whether you are on low, you're going to lose it somewhere, right? So the biggest thing that we need to understand is the responsibility. And what is this responsibility? Whom are you responding to? Yes, the life that you're responding to, but what is the life at the end? You know, I read a lot of philosophy, okay? I'm a science person, but with that I do read a lot of psychology, a lot of philosophy. And for the biggest of, unfortunate, the unfortunate thing that we faced in the past few centuries is people putting, or society putting a focus of your identity or your focus of your happiness outside of you, that is external achievements or the materialistic achievements. And you know, time and again with the celebrities and the big achievers committing suicides or choosing death has shown us that it's not all that. It's not all about achieving the external achievements or having the happiness attached, or your emotions basically attached to your achievements in terms of what success you have, what career have you achieved, what kind of relationships you have, what kind of money you're making, what kind of house are you living, what kind of status that you have. Time and again it is proven to us it's that's not the end of it. Your emotions, the way you feel, if it is attached to your external achievements, then all the philosophers across the world time and again has told us that the happiness lies within us, and the biggest source of suffering is also within us. So if you understand, and unfortunately all the philosophers have said that, and intellectual people like you and me agree with it, but somewhere I think just agreeing with it, and it's a truth bomb, okay? I'm giving you the truth bomb here. I'm not going to mince my words. I'm not going to talk about it, because there was a point in my life when I knew all of this and I still succumbed to depression. I still felt horrible about myself. I still felt that I'm good for nothing. I still felt that why am I living this life? Or there are so many other people that I have met, my coaching clients, all the people that I've met, I've seen people saying these things to me, that in spite of having everything, people feeling worthless or not good enough. Because somewhere I think what most important understanding is, it's not about understanding intellectually. We all understand it. Intellectual quotient is very high, and we've spent lakhs and crores of rupees and dollars in educating ourselves in the skills that probably will fetch the livelihood for us. But we miserably fail to understand that do we put in so much effort, and do we put in an effort, and I would really say even time and money, in understanding the inner world that we carry. Your outer world is merely a reflection of your inner world. If you resonate with what I say, that your outer world is merely a reflection of your inner world, type in the comment box that my outer world is a reflection of my inner world. And your outer world is just the 10% that you see. It's just like an iceberg, which is like hardly that you see on the top is 1/8 of the portion of the iceberg. The 7/8 portion of the iceberg is below, which cannot be seen, which is huge. Your inner world is much, much, much bigger than your outer world. Your outer world, if you consider, is a 10%, then your inner world is a 90% part of it. How you feel, what you think, what kind of a personal space that you are in, what kind of an environment, the internal environment that you live in. Yes, external environment is again outer world, which is reflection of your inner world. The people that you have in your life, the things that you have in your life, the place that you live in. I'm not saying status wise, I'm not talking about the house that you're living in, or the bungalow or the apartment or a hut that you live in. That doesn't matter. What is there in your environment when you're sitting down? Think about it, that what things are there in your environment. What are the 5 people that you constantly associate with? What are the conversations that you have with these 5 people? What are some of the news and information that you're consuming? What is it that you are focusing on? What is the 5 things which are there around you when you're sitting all the time? And these are the clues that will tell you what your inner world is. These are the clues. You have to figure out what kind of conversations are you having on the day-to-day basis. Yes, externally, first you focus on what kind of external conversations that you have. It's again a reflection of what is the inner conversation that you have generally. If you resonate with what I say, if you can relate to what I say, comment box. I type in a comment box that you relate to what I'm saying. Okay? You relate to what I'm saying. Like, see, now you may think that, so how, if I realize that, okay, my life is not the way I want, and what can I do? It's something that I don't know. Now let me tell you something. Each one of us have some or the other past memories that are hurtful memories, that are traumatic memories, and somewhere deep down they are impacting or have impacted our internal being so much that we are still carrying the burden of it. How much ever that probably at this age, when you look back, you feel they are so irrelevant or they are so non-significant that I don't know why it should bother me. Most of the people I see that they logicalize their traumatic experiences or whatever the humiliating experiences of the past, and they just simply say, oh, it happens with everybody, so what's the big deal? But when they say that, I know that they don't really mean it. It's a big deal for them, but they're putting up a facade of saying that it doesn't matter to them. Each one of us has a past. Each one of us, okay? Now what happens is, when you are looking at the future, most people, when they take such a drastic step, why do they take such a drastic step? First, you need to understand that why are they taking such a drastic step? The only time a person will take such a drastic step, when that person feels there is no hope in the future. They don't see the future. Of course, now you may say that nobody is able to see the future. Yes, I agree with you. Future is unknown to all of us. But there's a certain idea, there's a certain anticipation and expectation each one of us have about our future. And with that, what happens is, when you're anticipating something, you feel that, okay, there is a part of your life which is you're living there. So if the people, those who take this drastic step, they don't see the future. Like, I remember in my entire 23 years of career, there were quite a few cases that I handled which went through major depressive tendencies, and where people, I only would do this thing to people that whenever there was a call or whenever there was something that was coming and people were saying that I do feel that I don't want to get out of the bed, I don't want to talk to anybody. I see a lot of ideas floating around, and people are saying my doors are always open. People are saying that, just talk to somebody. You don't need to hurt alone. You can talk, etc., etc. How much ever what you're saying is absolutely right. But the point here is, a person who's in depression, who's so low, for that person, everything is so miserable. Even getting out of the bed, putting up the clothes, showering, doing daily chores are so difficult to do. It's so difficult to even pick up a phone and call somebody and tell that person what they are going through. And that's let's be honest, if they could do it, they would have done it. Okay, understand, whether it's a person who is depressed or a person who's, like, you can so-called call a person who's doing his regular stuff, which is like they are doing what they have to do on the regular basis. Everybody does what they can do with their perceptions of their life and the limited understanding that they have about their life, I'm going to say, not about their limited understanding about about generally things. I'm talking about their life, what they feel that can happen to them, or what they feel the future is going to bring to them. They genuinely feel the limitation of choice in that particular moment when they take that step, or they don't take that step. There is a very limited choice that they feel. And let me tell you, your inner world or the past experiences that you go through creates a certain understanding of perception for you of your life, present and future. And in that, the choices that you're making, the thoughts that you're thinking, the feelings that you're feeling, and the choices that you're making, the decisions that you're making to act on or not act on, are all based on what's going on internally in your inner world. Now, if you're not aware of any of it, how do you actually respond, or how do you actually make sure that you are picking up the call and talking to somebody? It's difficult. So just by saying that, okay, if you're feeling depressed, call me. No, major depressives are the people, those who are actually struggling and going through something. For them, it is absolutely difficult to make that phone call. That's the reason they take that route, or they take that choice. Nobody willingly wants to succumb to the life. Nobody. Now you may say that, but do I have control over my past? I don't have any control over my past. I totally agree with you. You don't have any control over your past. What has happened has happened. But what do you have in your hand is how do you respond to that experience? Because, if you remember, I'm sure you must have heard it or read it somewhere, there was this one story going on everywhere, that there was this comedian, and, people would come and attend his stand-up comedies, and, one fine day he decides to do an experiment where he tells one joke. People laugh like crazy, historically everybody laughs, and then again after 5 minutes he tells the same joke, 80% people laugh again. He repeats it again after 5 minutes. Now every time he repeats it, the number of people laughing starts reducing. And the fifth time, actually few people get up and say, oh, you suck, why are you saying the same joke again and again? It's so boring to listen to it. And he just says that, 5 times I gave you this joke and you are not ready to laugh at it. What makes you think that you are crying over all the time that the past that has happened in your life, or whatever has happened in your life? How do you keep crying again and again over it? Now, why do you do that? Is because maybe you feel that you don't have a control over changing it. See, most people, I'm not against the medications, but most people choose a route to take the medicine and numb their pain. Yes, it's only numbing your pain. By no means I'm saying that you should not take the medicines. Please understand that if at all you're on the medication, don't, just by listening to me, don't quit on the medicines. Do take the medicines, but also understand that with the medication you also need a therapy side where you need to talk to a professional, not just anybody. Okay, if you're going through something, please, and also if your relative or a friend going through something, make sure that you take them to a trained professional. Don't just give them random advices, because A, your advices may not be right for that particular person. B, maybe your advices are not really going to help them, because most of our hurt, if you understand this, most of our hurt comes from the people, those who are close to us. If you agree with me, type agree in the comment box. Most of the hurt that we feel comes from our own people. And when you are giving advices to these people, A, you don't know if you actually hurt the person. B, probably they might feel that you are biased. Your ideas or your suggestions are biased. So the best part is what you can do for your friend and family member if somebody is hurting and you know that the person needs something. First is just listen to them. No advices, just listen. Listen for the purpose of listening. It is called as active listening. And second you can do is get the professional help for them, so that they can open up to someone who can guide them and take them out of the problem. I mean, it's a teamwork. Like, you see, now if you see that people, those who have some physical disability or some physical disease, doctors and family members become a team and they work as a team. No family member will say, okay, take my medicines and take my advice and rest and you'll be fine. You take the person to the doctor. Similarly, when you feel that the person is hurting and they need help, empathize and take them to a professional. Please do not advise them, because a lot of people yesterday messaged me asking, I know somebody who's happening to this and somebody is going through this. What advice can I give them? Please don't. You're not qualified to do that. Don't treat it like, oh, it's a random thing. It's like, having a fever and taking a pill off the shelf. Don't do that, because mind is a very different game altogether. Body still gives you some symptoms, mind may not. So as soon as you realize that there is somebody around you who has a problem, don't treat it yourself, and tell them or convince them and take them to people. And it's as a society, it's our moral obligation to understand that it's no more a taboo. Because see, most of the big companies, MNCs, have now started focusing on EQ, emotional quotient. If you really want to be successful in your life, it's your emotional quotient. Everything that you learn as a skill is a learnable skill. You can learn if you don't know something. You can learn a language if you don't know. If you don't know computer, you can learn computer. You can learn coding. You can learn practically everything. But understanding people, because at the end you have to work with people, whichever area you are. You have to associate with people, you have to talk with people, you have to work with people. So unless and until you empathize with yourself, you understand what you are going through, how are you going to understand what other people are going through? So the emotions, when you understand well, that's where you're able to help yourself better. That's where you're able to help other people better. That makes your communication refined. And that makes you a better leader. So actual success comes to people, those who can really understand their inner world. So what do you, at this point of time, if you understand what I mean, type in the comment box and tell me, understand. I understand. Type in the comment box and tell me, I understand. So what do you need to do at this point of time? Like, if you need to focus on your inner world, what do you need to do at this point? The first thing that you need to understand is your self-talk. Okay, your self-talk. Like, if you see, I already mentioned in the comment here that in the description here that life throws boulders at you, and when you're dodging from the boulders, what happens is sometimes you lose your focus, or everything becomes blurry, because you may hit somewhere your head and suddenly the vision becomes blurry and you can't see anymore what's there in the future. Or you may just lose the focus, or you may just get distracted on some other path just to save yourself from that challenge. The moment you realize that you're distracted and you're not on the path that you should be on, just come back to breathe. Okay, just come back to breathe. Focus on breath. I always tell this to people, just if you want to really watch yourself and other people when they are going through some emotional turbulence, this is my observation that I have understood for years, after years of practice. A person who is mentally and physically diseased, whether it's physically or mentally, if they are diseased or if they have negative thoughts going on, their breathing will be opposite. Like, what is a normal breathing? You breathe, like you breathe in and the breath goes inside and the abdomen comes out, like it's a balloon which inflates, right? And when you breathe out, your balloon, as an abdominal balloon, will go inside and the breath will come out. So most often you will see the person who is negative or worrying all the time, in anxiety or in depression or some stuff going on, their breathing will be unregulated. So the first thing you need to understand is center your breathing. The moment you focus on the breath, you will see that your self-talk will start changing. Most of the times when you realize that your self-talk is critical, And I'll tell you that it's a 90% people, 90% of the times people, those who are having emotional turbulence or having the difficulty or challenges to in their life, where they are not able to find a way, they are not immediately problem solving, or they are not feeling that they can make some decisions that they can quickly maneuver and focus on their path again and come back to the path again. Most of these people will have critical thinking. And most of these people will have memorized behaviors. If you see yourself in the 24 hours, 95% of your behaviors are memorized behaviors. They are automated. Similarly, 95% of your reactions or emotions are automated. It's a learned emotion. When you look at an experience of your past, and when you feel angry, frustrated, depressed, or disappointed, or whatever the lower vibrations or the lower emotions that you might feel, is coming from the space that it is a learned behavior over and over and over and over for years. Can you change it? Of course you can change it. Of course you can change it. The first step is to start breathing consciously. And not by breathing consciously, I don't mean that in the morning you wake up and you do pranayam 10 minutes. Yes, you do that, but it's not the conscious breathing. It's just 10 minutes. What about the rest of the 24 hours? You have to practice conscious breathing no matter what, whatever you're doing. There has to be somewhere inside you, the one part of you should be all the time watching your breath. Are you breathing well? The moment you start breathing well, you will automatically see that your emotions are changing and your vibrations are going higher and higher. If you understood what I mean, type in the comment box and say breathe. Type breathe in the comment box. Conscious breathing. Okay, conscious breathing. Then observe your talking to yourself. What are you talking to yourself? Are you talking in the critical manner, or are you talking loving manner? See, self-doubt, fear, all this is part of life, and they will come. The bigger the challenge, the bigger the goal, the division that you have in life, the bigger the self-doubt and the bigger the fear will come. Because the goal and the vision is something that you have never achieved in your life. Unless and until it becomes your automated, innate behavior, there will be a self-doubt and there will be failures and there will be fears along with it. It's just like, when you were a baby, you didn't know how to walk. And then one fine day you learned walking, and now you don't even think about walking because it's a innate learned behavior. But you are taking it for granted now. Similarly, the new challenge, the new goal, the new opportunity, everything is going to be, you're going to feel that doubt, that you're going to feel that, oh my God, whether I'll be able to do it or not do it. So it's okay to feel that way. Breathe. Okay? The second thing that you need to most importantly focus on is environment. What's your environment? Now, environment will be two types. Environment is an external environment and internal environment. Now, self-talk is a part of your internal environment. Your emotion is a part of your internal environment. All of that, like in 24 hours, how do you feel? What do you talk to yourself is your internal environment. Or what foods are you consuming? Are you eating stale, junk food, or are you eating something fresh? Having, food which has got higher vibrations. Now, I'm not going to deeper into the higher vibration foods, not the topic for right now, but are you having foods which are really uplifting and making you feel lighter? Is it allowing you to let go of some of the baggage, physical baggage? Are you doing some practices for mental and emotional release of the baggages? Make it a ritual to do some exercises, mental and emotional exercises to release. Like I remember when I was a child and our school used to promote journaling. it used to be a ritual for us that every day in the night, every day our teacher would ask her, have you journaled? Like when I was a real child, like a kindergarten and, you know, pre-primary, primary school, teacher would ask us every single day, did you write your diary yesterday night? And I remember that was a habit. What is a diary writing? It's a kind of release. So if nothing else, start writing. It will empty your mind. The other day I remember that, so my son was, doing some work, and he suddenly in the night, like 12:30, 1 o'clock, he was bursting with a lot of ideas, and, you know, he said, I can't sleep. I have so many things on my mind right now, and I'm not able to sleep. I just told him, I said, you know what? The ideas are there are things there on your mind. Just take the paper and pen and start writing them down. He wrote for 10 minutes, emptied his mind, and slept peacefully. So sometimes these exercises, emotional and mental release, will really, really help you, and you must do it. How do you look at your external environment? I've already discussed on this, but I want you to talk about the external environment in terms of, I want you to think about what are the 5 people that are there in your life, what are the 5 things that you focus on more, what are the 5 things that are around you, what are the 5 conversations generally you have outside, what are the 5 types of information that you consume, 5 types of topic that you like to read or listen to. What are some of the social media handles that you follow? What are some of the podcasts that you listen to? What are those things that you listen to? Are you listening to news channels? What is the information that you're putting in your brain that's also very, very important to understand? And the 4th thing that I want to tell you today is, no matter what, the time that you feel that you have to ask yourself this when you are down or when you feel that there's a challenge which is there. You have to ask yourself that, am I going through it or am I growing through it? You have to answer this question. Am I going through it? Like, am I suffering? I'm going through something. And if the answer is yes, you should definitely seek help and figure it out. With somebody, with the help of some professional help, figure it out. How can you grow through it? Every challenge that comes in your way to make you grow through it. Let me tell you, every philosopher, everybody who's written loads of books, have been successful in their life, they'll all tell you this one thing, that the challenges that they faced, the best thing that happened to them was the challenges, because they grew through it and they made something out of their life. And every time when you're facing a challenge, you got to ask yourself this another question. Do I matter? Is my life important? Is my time important? Is it precious? And if you get an answer yes, then strive, no matter what, do whatever it takes, but make it work for you. And if you answer no, then let me tell you this. You should definitely work through it. Because I know you matter. You matter. Every life is precious and every person matters on this earth. If it was not the case, you wouldn't have been on this earth. You wouldn't have been a part of this matrix, this whole universe. So every time this question comes to you, whether no matter you give the answer yes or no, you definitely work to it. And there is no way in the world that there is no challenge in the world that cannot be figure outable. It's just a matter of seeking for help. And even before the challenge or the depression starts becoming big, the moment you realize this, that you are not feeling that you matter, your voice doesn't matter, or maybe you feel ignored, or maybe you feel low about something, speak up. And the biggest practice that I want to share with you, the 5th practice that I want to share with you to do, is being grateful, like counting your blessings. Like today also, every single day when I wake up in the morning, there are 10 things that I think about. My waking up thoughts are the 10 things or 10 people that I'm grateful for. And before I go to sleep, my last thoughts are about the 10 things or 10 people that I am grateful for. Now you may say, what can I be grateful for? I am telling you, a lot of people tell me this. I don't know what I can be grateful for. There's nothing going right in my life. Oh, come on. If you're watching this video, let me tell you something. You have a lot to be grateful for. You have an internet connection. You have a smartphone or a laptop to watch this. You are on Facebook. You have a community to talk to. You probably have a shelter to live in. You probably have clothes. Your life is better than somebody else's, for sure. So stop being selfish and start looking at how is your life better than other people. The more you look at how your life is better than other people, or not even other people, how your life is better, you will start attracting better and better things in your life. So make it a practice to write 5 things, 10 things that you're grateful for. If nothing, then be grateful for your body, be grateful for your legs, be grateful for your eyes, your words that come out of your mouth. All this that you have a control over. So be grateful for those things. You do matter and your life does matter. If you resonate with what I said right now, type in the comment box and say, I matter. I matter. Thank you so much once again for being live with me here and allowing me to share what I feel and my thoughts with you. So thank you very, very, very much for once again being there, and I look forward to connect with you once again. Bye bye and good night.